The roar came first. It was broken and desperate, unlike anything Aisha had ever heard before. She was walking along the riverbank when the sound froze her steps. Her eyes darted to the water, and her heart leapt into her throat. There, in the furious current, a lion was fighting for its life. Its massive body was tossed around like a toy, its golden mane plastered against its head, eyes wide with fear. The king of the savannah was drowning. For a second, Aisha couldn't move. Every instinct told her to step back, to stay safe, to let nature take its course. A lion was not a creature you approached. A lion was power, teeth, and danger. But as she watched its giant paw claw desperately at the air before slipping under, something inside her broke. She couldn't let it die. Not like this. Without thinking, she tore off her scarf, dropped her bag on the ground, and sprinted toward the water. The river was icy as she plunged in, and the current hit her like a wall. She fought her way forward, her muscles screaming, her breath sharp and short. The lion surfaced again, choking, its golden eyes locking with hers for a split second. It wasn't the gaze of a predator. It was the gaze of a creature begging for life. "Hold on," she gasped, though she knew it couldn't understand. Her hands reached for its mane, her fingers tangling in the heavy, wet fur. The lion thrashed, nearly dragging her under. Water filled her mouth as she struggled to stay above the surface. She wanted to let go. Every part of her screamed to let go, but she held on tighter. With a strength she didn't know she had, she pulled, kicked, and pushed toward the bank. The world became a blur of noise and water. Just when she thought she would sink, her foot struck mud. She dug her toes in, grabbed onto the rocks, and with a final heave, dragged the massive animal to the shore. The lion collapsed onto the sand, coughing water from its throat. Aisha dropped beside it, trembling, her chest burning, her arms shaking as if they didn't belong to her anymore. For long moments, the only sound was the ragged breathing of woman and beast. She should have been terrified. She was lying just inches away from a predator that could end her life with one swipe. But the lion didn't move. Its body was weak, its eyes half closed. It was not a king tonight. It was just a soul that had almost been lost. Aisha sat there staring, unable to believe what she had just done, and then the lion's eyes met hers again. There was no anger, no hunger, only silence, like a silent thank you spoken without words. The sky darkened above them, and Aisha realized she couldn't stay by the river all night. Carefully, slowly, she stood and stepped back. The lion remained where it was, chest rising and falling, too exhausted to move. She walked backward until distance felt safe, then turned and hurried home, her mind spinning with what had just happened. She thought she would never see the lion again, but she was wrong. The next morning, as Aisha went to the fields near her village, she felt the air shift. Birds went quiet. She turned and her breath caught in her chest. There, not far away, stood the same lion. Its mane glowed under the rising sun, now dry and full again. Its body was tall and strong, though its eyes still carried the memory of last night. Villagers nearby screamed and ran, but Aisha couldn't move. Her heart thundered as the lion stepped closer. Every step was heavy, powerful, but not threatening. When it stopped just a few meters away, the lion lowered its head slightly. Holding her in its gaze, Aisha's lips trembled. Was this a thank you or the calm before an attack? The lion let out a low, deep rumble, not a roar of rage, but a sound that felt different, soft. Then, as if satisfied, it turned and walked back into the wild. Aisha stood frozen long after it vanished into the tall grass. She didn't tell anyone what truly happened. Who would believe her? A lion showing gratitude? It sounded impossible. Days turned into weeks, but the story wasn't over. One evening, as Aisha returned from the market, she heard shouting near the edge of the village. People were running, pointing toward the fields. A group of hyenas had come close, scavenging, snapping, their hungry eyes fixed on the goats tied nearby. Villagers tried to chase them off with sticks, but hyenas were bold in packs and fear spread quickly. Aisha's heart pounded as she watched the chaos. Suddenly a roar split the air. It was thunder itself. From the tall grass emerged the lion, the same lion she had saved. Its mane flared, its body towering as it charged toward the hyenas. The pack scattered instantly, their laughter turning to shrieks as they fled into the night. The village fell silent. Children clung to their mothers, men lowered their weapons, and everyone stared in awe. The lion turned, its golden eyes scanning the crowd, and for a heartbeat it locked onto Aisha again. She felt her breath leave her chest. It was as if the lion had come not just to chase away danger, but to protect her. The villagers whispered in disbelief. Some called it a blessing, others a curse, but deep inside Aisha knew the truth. She had given life to the lion, and in some way it had chosen to give her life back. From that day forward, the lion was never far. Sometimes she would glimpse it on the horizon, watching silently as she worked in the fields. Sometimes at night, she would hear its distant roar rolling across the plains like a reminder, I am here. The bond between them was unspoken, fragile, yet powerful. She never touched it again, never approached, never treated it like a pet. It was wild, it was free, and she respected that. But she knew in the quiet of her heart that something eternal had been formed in that river. One season, a drought hit the land. Rivers dried, crops failed, and animals grew restless. With no water, predators came dangerously close to villages. One night, a group of desperate poachers crept near, carrying guns and traps. They wanted the lion. They knew stories of its unusual behavior, and greed burned in their eyes. Aisha overheard their whispers and felt her stomach twist. She couldn't let them harm him, not the creature that owed her life and had saved hers. She followed in the darkness, every step trembling, until she reached the clearing where the poachers had set their trap. And then it happened. The lion appeared, moving like a shadow under the moon. The poachers raised their rifles, fingers tightening. Aisha screamed without thinking, throwing herself between the men and the beast. The night froze. Don't! She cried, her voice shaking but firm. The lion stood behind her, silent, its breath hot in the cool air. The poachers faltered, shocked by the sight of a woman shielding a lion. For a tense moment, no one moved. Then the lion stepped forward, so close that Aisha felt its body brush hers. It let out a roar that shook the earth. The poachers dropped their weapons and fled, vanishing into the night. Aisha collapsed to her knees, tears streaming down her face. She turned slowly, meeting the lion's gaze once more. There was fire in its eyes, but not for her. Never for her. That night under the stars, Aisha whispered words she knew the lion could not understand. We saved each other. The lion blinked slowly, almost like an answer, before disappearing into the darkness once again. The story spread. Some said it was a miracle, others called it madness. But for Aisha, it didn't matter. What mattered was that the bond remained, an unspoken promise between a woman and a lion. And if you're still here listening to this story, it means you felt something too. If these moments touched your heart, don't forget to like and subscribe. Because stories like these are worth sharing, and your support keeps them alive. Years later, when people asked Aisha about the lion, she would smile softly. She never claimed to own it, never claimed to tame it. She would simply say, I saved a lion once, and it saved me back. And somewhere beyond the tall grass and golden plains, the roar of a lion still echoed, a reminder that even the wildest of hearts can remember kindness. Thank you for staying with me till the end. Thank you for staying with me till the end.